Hi all, and welcome to another episode of Alfies Body Transformation Journey. So, as always, I will be going through this episode as normal, but I did mention to you guys that I will be changing up slightly when there is not as much to go through on the mental health side. So that's what I'm going to do today. I don't have as much stuff to talk about. So what I've done is I've gone through some of the science behind cold showers. I know that I've mentioned to you guys that I have them. I will go into a little bit more detail about how it makes me feel, and then I will go into the detail of what the science behind that also says. But it will be as normal. It will be food and gym first. It will then be the weigh-in, and then the mental health side / the information corner, or whatever you want to call it. So, food and gym to start with. As you know, over the past few episodes, I have struggled to actually shred any of the weight that I have. Which isn't exactly where I wanted to be. So, what have I done about it? I have reached out to a friend of mine who has helped me come up with an actual meal plan to help me with the goals that I have, which is to lose weight and to gain some muscle as well. So this includes an intermittent fasting, which is I can only eat for 8 hours of the day, which I've chosen from 12 till 8. I started that yesterday, so hopefully next week I'll be able to show the positive impact that's had. Also, for Valentine's Day, I decided to cook up a few different... So I did 3 courses of a meal, but I didn't want to ruin my diet in doing that at the same time. So what I decided to do is to use this. This is a really great book. It's a low-calorie diet recipes. I managed to find a starter, a main, and the dessert I actually found online. It was just a simple 5-ingredient chocolate brownie, which used far less flour, and it used dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate, and it used honey instead of sugars. So just to make it a lot more healthy, a lot lower calorie, it just substituted a lot of the stuff, which I can show the recipe for that if you wanted to as well. But it was really tasty. I had that with some Halo ice cream. For those of you that like ice cream, it is an entire tub, which is similar to the size of a Ben & Jerry's tub, is only 300 calories. So it's very low calorie ice cream. It's more like a frozen yogurt sort of taste though. And another thing that I've realised is that the free from section that you find in supermarkets, if you wanted breads or pastas or anything like that, it doesn't really work with pastas actually, so mostly breads. If you was craving bread, but you're just worried about the amount of extra calories that it adds, if you look for the gluten-free bread choices, they tend to be a slightly lower calorie and a bit better for you, because gluten's not the best for you as well. So that's one of my little tips for you. In terms of the gym, I will be trying CrossFit tomorrow for the first time, so I will be letting you all know exactly how that goes. Really excited for it. It's something that I've really wanted to do for a while now, so really looking forward to that. I have been going to the gym quite a lot as well, still going about 5 or 6 times a week. I did some HIIT classes, so high intensity interval training, which is really good for fat loss, because what it does is it is a mixture between your anaerobic and aerobic fitnesses, and those rests really make you activate the anaerobic side, which uses a lot more energy than the aerobic side. So really good few workouts using that. I also managed to meet another one of my goals. So I managed to run 10k without stopping a single time, which I am super proud of. My time sucks. Really bad time, but really proud that I managed to do it, and I will keep working on that time. With about 2 kilometers left, my knee started to give way as well, but I really wanted to achieve this and just push through that pain. And my knee's fine. It was probably more of a mental thing, trying to find an excuse for myself to stop. So really proud of myself for keep going with that. And yeah, so hopefully next week I can tell you more about the CrossFit stuff, and hopefully I can tell you more about the workouts that I've been doing, and really hope that I have got an improved time on my 10k as well. So thanks. So now for the weigh-in part of this. Now I am super happy to say that I have managed to lose weight, but I will go through how I know that now. So my other scales that I had, they were quite old. I replaced the batteries because I thought they were going wrong, because I stood on them in the space of about 5 minutes 4 different times, and there was more than a 3 kilo difference between the 3 weights that I got. So I hadn't had any physical changes within that 5 minutes, obviously. So what was the problem? I have no idea. But I've got a new set of scales. I chose to go with Active Era. It's a new company. They're smart scales. I'm going to try that out. It's a Bluetooth to your phone, which goes straight through to an app. The app's pretty awesome. But I've weighed myself a couple of times on it using them scales, and it's showing a consistent measurement, which is great. So what is my weight at now? It is at 91.9 kilograms. So a big weight loss again, starting to really put me back on track. I was starting to worry a little bit because of the lack of weight loss in that time. And as you can see on the screen, there's a variety of different things that this thing tracks, down to muscle, water weight, visceral fat. So visceral fat is the fat around your organs and inside, embedded under your abdomen and within your rib cage and whatnot. It's the dangerous fat. So it goes through a variety of different things that's going to really help me to make sure that I'm making the right sort of changes. Also, I did decide to measure myself last week and measure myself this week. Now I've lost 1 centimetre on the waist, but everything else is exactly the same. So I'm not going to go through that in too much detail. Maybe next week I'll give like a 2 weekly, or maybe I'll just do it monthly. But I'll decide that. In terms of how I'm feeling at the moment, I'm feeling a lot stronger. I'm feeling a lot fitter. I feel a bit more myself in general. Regardless of the amount of weight I've lost, I can feel myself really transforming in terms of what I'm able to do, and my strength and my endurance and stuff is making massive bounds. So it's just another little shout out to make sure that you guys don't concentrate too much on what the scales say, and work out a little bit about how you're actually feeling about your changes too. But yeah, really happy with the weight loss. I'm still a little bit annoyed that I don't feel like my body's looking as much different as I would like it to, but I'm sure that's going to change over time. When I look at where I was at the start compared to where I am now, it gives me a really good feeling, and it really energizes me again. But sometimes when I look down, I just kind of get worried that I'm not making the progress. But as I said, I'm feeling stronger, I'm feeling fitter, I'm feeling more endurance, and the weight is coming off. So just got to keep at it, guys. Right, now it is for the mental health side of this episode. As I mentioned a moment ago, there have been times this week where I felt a little bit down whilst looking at my body and looking at the amount of weight loss I've actually made. It's not as high as I would like it to be. That being said, other than that, I've actually been really happy again. It's been a really great week for me. I'm finding myself angry a lot less, sad a lot less, finding it a lot easier to sleep. My sleep's got a lot better again. And, just a multitude of things are really improving, and I'm starting to feel really good about myself. There is a bit of boredom creeping in from the fact I'm not at work at the moment. Got a couple of weeks off, but again, I'm managing to do the things that I want to do. I managed to do my course in personal training. I managed to do my gym and sort out my eating habits and stuff like that. So it is a positive time. It just can be a little bit lonely and boring when you're sort of stuck around without company for that amount of time. Also, I think it's important to mention it in this episode. As you all know, the ITV presenter Caroline Flack only yesterday committed suicide. Why does she do that? Because of the amount of pressure from the press and the amount of bad things that were said about her pushed her to a point where she felt that her life shouldn't go on. It's a really sad thought, and I know, a lot of the people watching this, part of this episode is because we've all been there before, where we have, either contemplated that exact thing, or just maybe thought that it would be better if we wasn't around due to pressures from outside. Just try and make sure that, we're not trolling people or trying to hide behind a screen to say things we don't necessarily mean. And if there is somebody out there that you think is going through a lot, then, you know, just reach out to them and try and help them in any way that you can. It's all well and good everybody now saying how much they are devastated by the news and stuff, but, you know, if we'd have treated them differently to start with, it might not have happened. So just be mindful of your actions and the stuff that you say and do and the effect it can really have on people. Because in this day and age, we shouldn't still be losing people due to the pressures of online abuse. We should have stuff in place now to stop that. But it needs to start with the people, making sure that they treat people with the respect and the humanity that they would wish to receive themselves. And finally, I would like to talk about the cold showers. Now, what have cold showers done for me? Cold showers for me, I have them every single morning. First thing I do when I wake up is go straight into the shower. Freezing cold. I turn the dial as low as it can possibly go, and I go in there for 4 minutes, and I use a Rocky song, Heart on Fire, as like a motivation to push myself to get in, and it is conveniently 4 minutes and 10 seconds long, which means I can time it properly. Okay, so the reason that I do it is because when I wake up I can be lethargic, or I can kind of still be groggy and stuff like that. When I have that cold shower, it just knocks all of that out of me immediately. So I'm already fresh at the very start of the day. It makes me feel great. Also, I find myself more able to start my day a lot quicker than I would have been able to before, and with a lot more alertness and stuff. And it is also, a little part of it is that little bit of achievement where it's something that is really horrible to do. You know, it's not comfortable, it's not nice, it's not enjoyable really, but it just is something that you've overcome. You know, an anxiety or a fear or something of getting in that you have overcome to start your day. So I think that's a great way to start the day, which is by overcoming something that is not exactly a nice thing to do. But I have some science backing evidence. So I'm going to go through that in a bit by bit, and apologies if I keep looking down, it's because I've got some notes on it. But the first one is increased alertness. Now, I just mentioned that that's how I feel, and there is a scientific reason for that. It increases the blood pressure, it increases the heart rate and the ventilation. Basically, what it does when you jump in that cold shower is it cools the core body temperature down, so your blood has to pump through your vital organs to make sure it's keeping them warm. The only way to keep it warm while it's so cold is to pump more to pump more blood through as quickly as it can to keep that temperature level. So that sort of happens to your brain as well to make sure it heats the brain, and it gets your blood pumping and all your synapses and nervous system firing away as quickly as possible, and then it sort of stops that groggy period. Stronger immune system. So it actually shows that 29% less likely to call in sick from work or school if you have a cold shower in the morning. This is a weird one. So I take 4 minutes, just the amount of time I started with and the amount of time that I like doing. But science does show that duration doesn't actually matter. Whether it's 30 seconds or 15 minutes, it doesn't really matter too much. The effects will still be very similar. It also, if you're ill and you do it, it makes you more able to deal with the symptoms. Again, I think that's more to do with the blood pumping through your vital organs and making them work a lot more effectively than they would have with a smaller amount of blood pumping through them. So it just makes it a bit easier for you to deal with the symptoms. Next one is boosted mood. So what a cold shower does is it activates the sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight and flight. Think of it like a muscle. When you train a muscle, it becomes stronger. If you keep training or activating your sympathetic nervous system, you're a lot more able to deal with that sympathetic nervous system response, which can lower things like anxiety and stuff like that. It also increases the availability of endorphins, which is a chemical which makes you feel good, and norepinephrine, I hope I said that right, which again is another chemical or hormone in your body that is sort of like a feel-good hormone. So this is likely to reduce any sort of depressive symptoms and increase your mood in general, and it makes it a bit more of a long-lasting enjoyment from the cold shower itself. So the next point is improved recovery. So it has been proven that cold showers or cold water immersion therapy, so that's just where you jump into cold water, can improve the recovery of your muscles, as well as lowering your fatigue after sports and stuff. Now, this also works with something called contrast water therapy, which is if you was to stand in the shower and go hot, then cold, then hot, then cold, then hot, then cold. That's contrast water therapy. That can have the same effects in terms of recovery. But if you're doing sports and stuff like that, if you jumped into an ice bath, that can help your muscles to recover quicker than if you was to not do that. And lastly, it can actually reduce pain. It does this by constricting your blood vessels. This can also lower your inflammation and swelling, so it can actually do that as well. And what it does, it slows down the nervous response system, so that your perception of the pain or inflammation as well goes down. So if you're thinking about if it fires, let's say, for argument's sake, this is not how it works, but it's a lot faster. But if it was to fire once every second and it slowed down to once every 2 seconds, you'd feel half the amount of pain, or it would be half as intense. And that's basically what this does. It slows down the nervous system to make sure that the firing of the pain sensation is actually a lot slower than it would have been before. The constricting of the blood vessels just means that the inflammation and swelling, there's not as much blood pumping through that area, which is causing the inflammation and swelling. So yeah, that's some stuff with the cold shower. As I mentioned, it just makes me feel really good. Makes me feel like I've actually achieved something, and it really has a positive impact on my mood. I think that's the biggest one for me. But yeah, try it out for yourself. As I said, anything from 30 seconds onwards works great. And there's no scientific proof to show that the duration changes anything. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you try it, what you think of it. But that is all for the episode today. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit subscribe and like the video and leave us your comment. Thank you very much and have a great day.